Welcome everyone to the Phoenix Report. I am Jack Connor. This is our long-awaited preview/review of Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Now with me, of course, are my friends John Walters, Antonio Comunius, and Seamus Pouts. When we recorded this, we had a few technical difficulties, and when Antonio finally called in, we were already talking about the cast and just talking about the movie itself and just giving an intro, so you didn't really miss much. So right about now, I'm going to cut into the period of time where Antonio called in, and we're just going to get started. So here we go. As I mentioned before, if you're not familiar with this, we take audio that we recorded before we saw the movie, and then we all get back together after we saw the movie to discuss it. This is a spoiler review. If you have not seen it yet and don't want it to be spoiled, don't listen to it after a certain point. In the meantime, enjoy.
Oh, what?
Hey, buddy.
Whoa, what's going on here?
Not much.
Hey.
Yeah, we're doing a little video chat here. We're still recording the audio.
Bro, I'm still in the Epcot parking lot.
I know, dude. You for those of you guys who don't know, as we were doing the intro to this, Antonio texts me. He's like, bro, I just got off of work. He's like, I'm like, yeah, we're doing the podcast right now. I was like, are you kidding? You just abandoned me. I'm like, we told you 2 weeks ago we were going to do it at this time. Yeah. You can't see him right now. He's
Antonio. You could have told us that you get off at 9 or 9 something.
We would.
That way we can plan it.
I worked from 8 a.m. to 9:30 right now. Like, I don't have a life today.
Yeah.
Do you know your schedule? Like that you're gonna work until 9:30?
Yeah.
They changed it because I had restrictions and stuff because of my back, and they changed my schedule like 3 times. So, yeah, I don't know I was gonna be this late. I normally work till like 5 in the afternoon.
Yikes.
Okay.
Okay.
I got fruit snacks. Everything's gonna be okay.
Oh, good.
Sugar,
good. I'm glad you have fruit snacks. I mean,
all right, everybody can go home. He's got fruit snacks.
I mean,
man.
The long national nightmare is over. He's got food, ladies and gentlemen.
He has the food.
Anyways,
dude, the last time we did a podcast and you got in your car after work, you were screaming because you were burning hot with the sun. Do you remember this?
Yes, I do.
Probably.
Still hot. He's not confirming or denying.
Which is why I'm glad I added you to the conversation after the fact, because this is just comedy gold right now.
That's a whole other dimension to it.
This is what I do after work. I take off my coffee-drenched costume and I Febreze myself with extra strength. I just spray myself in the Epcot parking lot. Look, I Febreze myself.
Wow.
You
must smell magnificent right now.
Oh my god.
Bro, it smells like flowers.
I'll bet.
Dude, any single guys, take notes.
Hey.
Take notes.
Yeah, Febreze, man. Better than any body spray.
I'm so excited for Rogue One. Oh my
god. I know, man. I know how excited you are. Last year, I was saying how we did the Force Awakens thing together at my house and how much fun that was. And we were going down the list of characters right now. We just got to Donnie Yen's character, Chirrut Imwe, and how he developed his own style of martial arts for the movie, which is pretty rad.
It's epic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm that guy. That kind of has a callback to the choreographer for the old Star Wars movies and everything like that, or even the prequels. That was one of the best part of the prequel.
Come on.
Or what now?
How about Ray Park?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's the guy's
Maul.
name. I couldn't think of his name, but I knew who. Yeah, exactly. That Ray Park from Episode 1 and things like that. And that's exciting that they're going to have some actual choreographed battles and everything. Like they had it to some extent in Episode 7, but it was a lot like the original trilogy style stuff, which one of the stronger points of the prequels, yes, there are strong points of the prequels. I'm not one of these people.
I like the prequels just fine. It's okay. So anyway, we have with John. We have one of your favorite guys, Mads Mikkelsen. Is in this as Galen Erso, who's Jin Erso's father.
Bro, I saw him in person at Epcot.
What?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Antonio was there when they turned Spaceship Earth into the Death Star.
Dude, that's
That's
awesome,
been all
man.
over the internet. Antonio was there. He got to
Wow.
see it, and
Right,
Mads
yeah.
Mikkelsen was there.
He was right behind me. I was like, wait, I'm watching this live, and they have a live guest, like a special appearance. I was like, wait, one of my favorite actors, bro, Mads Mikkelsen. Like he's in one of my favorite movies from 2013, I think. It's a Danish film called The Hunt, and I'm super excited to see him in a Star Wars film. He's such a talented actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You saw
I mean,
Doctor Strange, right, Antonio?
Yeah, Doctor Strange also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was great in that. I mean, I
Yeah,
thought good in that as well.
I mentioned earlier in
He
that
actually
Doctor
traveled
Strange
through a
thing.
wormhole to get to Disney World that night. That's how deep his commitment is as an actor.
I'm pretty
it's
sure
incredible.
that's what it was, because it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I first saw him in King Arthur, and he was one of the knights,
Damn.
and he was
Yeah.
awesome. I love that movie, and all
That was
those.
cool.
There was like 5 or 7 knights total, and he was one of them, and they were all good. All of them were good.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Definitely. Well, I kind of picked this up in the trailers, and maybe I'm getting him mixed up with Ben Mendelsohn, but is her father supposed to be like with the Empire, or because that's the vibe I was getting?
He's like a scientist. He's a scientist
So-
that develops like special technology, and they need his help.
So
Okay.
I think he is the one who is pretty much responsible for like majority of the Death Star, and how he's like he has the main plans for it.
Mhm.
And obviously in the trailer they're trying to not necessarily recruit him, but kind of
Force him.
force him to join,
Oh,
and
okay.
so I think he is like the rogue. Obviously he didn't do it willingly to make the Death Star plans. So
Yeah.
Do you think that
I
like
feel-
wait, you said he's the Rogue. Do you think they named Rogue One after him?
Well, somebody had to give the Death Star plans, so
Okay.
it seems like he was the one that didn't want to. He was unwillingly wanting to go, or didn't go there willingly.
Wow, that's calling it back to the title. That's it's a bold
There
prediction
you
for
go.
sure.
There you go.
Can I say something?
Of course, please.
I'm raising my hand. I raised my hand.
We can see you now. Actually, this is great.
So check it out. I mean, I don't want to, don't want to like give away spoilers or anything because I haven't.
No
So
spoilers.
I haven't read anything.
Okay.
This is just speculation.
Okay,
But it
that's all
has to
this
do
is.
with his character.
That's what this is about.
And one of the things that like they was speculated about this character, Jyn Erso's father, is that he's responsible for the weapon system, but Rogue One is basically covering up the biggest plot hole of the entire Star Wars saga, which is the tiny hole in the Death Star that they used to blow it up, and that he might be responsible for putting that tiny hole there.
If they do that, yes.
let us not forget the viral video that's out there of like it's like it's an exhaust port. Do you realize how much exhaust that thing has to expel?
That's specifically if it's a weapon system, he's like suggesting, we need this exhaust port. Yeah, it's super important. And if you shoot it,
no
it'll
than 2
explode.
meters wide.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't mind me throwing out these plans somewhere, okay? I'm just throwing them away.
They might get
Just
lost.
Just gonna put them on my desk here. No security, no nothing.
I hope they don't get lost.
Yeah.
Wink, wink, wink.
I mean,
Yeah.
it would be super cool if they did something like that, which would totally make sense. And it
I'm
doesn't really
totally
affect
not
me
going
as-
rogue, okay?
Yeah.
If I do, it'll only be once. Oh, there's the title. I'm sorry, Antonio. What were you saying?
And we'll tell a story about it. Ah! No, that was stupid.
I don't know.
That's too
It
much.
would be cool if they do it. I just expect a little bit more. I don't know. They should make it like exciting.
I think that's a cool idea. I hope we're not. I don't want to build it up and then get hype up or hope and only be let down. I think
If
you're
you're
gonna
right-
enjoy this movie.
If you're right, man, that's gonna be so cool. Oh my gosh,
Then
that would be
Star Wars is just gonna get better because everything's gonna connect better and make sense. And all the people that shit about it are gonna be like, okay, so they fixed it. It's
Yeah.
real life.
Oh, the fact if they do that and they're like taking cement and filling in these plot holes, man, that would be so awesome. That's Disney doing Star Wars right there, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's really what this thing is going to be about, just to fill in those holes.
I'm excited that Matt Mikkelsen is going to be a main character for sure in this one. We're talking about like connecting, like not necessarily the universe, but each movie. But for me, I don't know about you guys, I really, really want to see like at least like a silhouette of like a Princess Leia figure, grabbing R2D2 and the plans or something, or like making that recording to Obi-Wan. Like, I just give me a figure, like give me that. I'm hoping they do that.
Dude, this is Star Wars. There's gonna be something.
I think we're gonna see that right at the end of the movie. I think that's exactly
what I'm
it's
saying.
Lead to.
I wouldn't even call that a bold
that.
prediction. That's probably exactly how it's gonna end. It's gonna lead right in.
They had already said like a couple of months ago that Rogue One is like specifically supposed to end like literally like minutes, like 10 minutes before A New Hope. So it's insane how close they are from the actual, original 1977 storyline.
I certainly hope so.
I wouldn't be surprised if they like splice in footage from A New Hope in there, like from a different camera angle or something like that. Would be amazing.
The more we talk about this movie, the more excited I'm getting. Like, seriously, I'm just getting so stoked about this movie. Like, I can't believe it.
It's funny. The more we talk about it, I'm trying to temper my expectations because I'm getting even more excited. I'm like, no, I don't want to be disappointed.
So wait, have you guys have not seen like the trailers for it or teasers or anything?
Oh, we have.
The last
as few as possible.
Last 3 weeks, I've gone dark. Like I've made sure that I'm not clicking anything Rogue One related or anything like that. I'm this close to the movie. I don't want to know anything else.
Mm-hmm. Jack, you have to stay off YouTube, okay?
I've learned that the hard way. No, but I'll rub that in my face again. No, but
I'm glad we're. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that. I mean, this is like what I had suspected that this was going to be. I'm definitely interested in some of these characters, like Alan Tudyk as K2SO. He's like he's an Imperial enforcer droid whose memory was wiped, and now he works for the rebels. I'm assuming they always have a breakout droid character. I mean, it's going to be weird not to see 3PO or R2 be that character, but I'm sure that K2SO is going to have some cool moments in there. I know Alan Tudyk, he's a really good actor. He's done a lot of stuff, like he was Pirate Steve in Dodgeball, and he was.
Yeah, they say that he's hilarious, man.
Yeah, he's
Wash and Firefly.
Yeah, he's done a million things, and so I mean, I'm sure he's going to be great. We have another actor, Jiang Wang, as Baze Melbus, a freelance assassin. So I don't know if they're throwing bounty hunters into this thing or anything like that. That'll be interesting.
Are like him and the Chirrut character supposed to be like buddies? Like the two Asian, the two only Asian guys in the movie are like
right. They're
we're
two
best buds.
They're two Chinese actors.
Of course we know each other. This is Star Wars.
Right. It's like we both.
I'm sorry, but you know what I mean.
Are you trying to say that there's a planet full of just Chinese people?
I mean, it's probably right next to the planet full of just black people with, Lando Calrissian. Like, come on.
There's one with There's one with gingers. I mean, they're all there.
Exactly. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm observing what I see in these movies, okay? And I'm taking a logical step. Of course,
I mean, they all have one ecosystem, so I mean, it's, that's something we've noticed. So
that's all I'm gonna say. I'm done before I get myself in trouble.
This podcast is brought to you, by the way, by the NAACP. No, but I mean, I don't know who Baze Melbus or whatever. I don't know what his deal is going to be, but we'll see. And then finally, we have Forrest Whitaker in there as Saw Gerrera, who that character has been on the Clone Wars, the animated series. He's been mentioned in Star Wars Rebels. Like, so that's another thing, kind of connecting those shows and the prequels and everything to this.
Bro,
So
you're taking my 5 fun facts about Rogue One. This is my video. Come on.
No, this is actually my podcast, but I appreciate that. No,
Antonio's like, I'm in it, so I should be a star.
we'll give a link to your video. It's
all
fine.
your subscribers are mine.
Can we share them?
Hijacking.
We can't share subscribers?
Okay, for 5 fun facts, please go to Antonio's channel.
Wow.
Cut him off.
Unbelievable. Cutting the mic
No
right
link
now.
in the description, no annotation, no nothing, man. Come on.
You know, I let you call into my podcast late, Antonio, and this is how you repay me.
It's all that coffee.
It's all that coffee. It's the, yeah.
No, but I'm super excited. Like, this is the first like animated crossover to live action like in the Star Wars universe. They've never done anything like that, and they're gonna keep doing it, and it's just gonna get bigger and bigger. It's gonna be
Wait.
so
You said
cool.
this is the first animated to live action.
Like crossover, like a character like Saw Gerrera that's in the Clone Wars.
I
Like
see what
having
you're saying.
him like a physical live action actor.
Okay.
That you can go back to and like learn his backstory due to this animated series.
Oh, that's
still
cool.
on like season 4 of like Clone Wars, but there's a
And
bunch of
they show
backstory
him
to
as a
that.
young guy on that show, don't they?
Yeah, and he's like a hardcore, indie rebel guy. Like he's basically like a terrorist against the Empire. His beliefs are really intense. It seems.
Nice.
But I haven't seen him in the Clone Wars still, but I'm excited to see, his old version and then going back and like getting his backstory. That would be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And Forrest Whitaker is a great actor, so I think he's going to be great at
It's
it.
gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean they've definitely have a few other actors coming in here. Jimmy Smits is coming back as Bail Organa. That's going to be cool.
That's awesome.
Super awesome.
That's
Like
sweet.
we might see Leia
All
in
back
this. We
to
don't know.
episode 3.
I want to see at least. I'm hoping for at least like a figure that represents Leia. Like I don't have to see the face.
Right.
I just make it known like this is Princess Leia and this is how
Just
it
the
connects.
hair buns. That's all we need to see.
Yeah.
So remember that Leia is supposed to be some sort of like she's on a diplomatic mission, so she might even be like in this whole mission thing. They just like send her the plans like just because it's convenient to them. It's like, oh, who can we send it to? Send it to Leia.
I'm just-
Thanks, guys.
I'll bet you guys anything. The final shot of the movie will be that Star Destroyer heading after the Tentative 4, the ship.
Yes.
It'll end like right there. That would be amazing.
Dang. Dang.
I'm predicting that right now.
That's bold. That's pretty
I
good.
mean, like from what I've seen, there's that scene where Jyn Erso is like in some sort of tower, and the TIE fighter kind of confronts her.
I don't know if I've seen this.
Kind of, yeah, a little bit.
Like I said,
It's
I've
one of the trailers.
avoided a lot of trailers.
Yeah.
It was in the teaser. It was like literally like a split-second shot.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Jyn
Yeah.
Erso in a tower. Like,
Yeah.
confronting-
She's going out
or
on a
TIE
she's
fighter-
going on a
TIE
catwalk.
fighter yeah. So and she's carrying the little case with like the Death Star plan. So I don't know. Is that tower like some sort of like beacon that she's using to actually send the plans, to a ship?
Maybe.
Could that be like that moment? And someone's trying to stop her? Could it be Vader? Could be Vader.
Maybe. I know
Oh,
that. I know that we're
speaking
going to
of
see
that-
Vader in this one. He's going
I
to
was
be
just
there.
gonna say that's a good little transition to Vader. I am really excited that we get to see Vader again. Like,
And it's badass Vader. It's not like, nostalgic Vader.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be like episode 4 Vader, where he like lose. I really hope it's like episode where he loses his temper and stuff. I know that they were still kind of working on the character in episode 4 with Vader, but I really like that part where he's like, I want them alive. He's like yelling and stuff. That's like the one time you see him actually get emotional in the original trilogy, and that part is really cool. I like that.
Yeah, basically. And James Earl Jones is coming back to do the voice, so you get that.
Did you hear that interview snippet with the director when they were doing the voiceovers for Darth Vader? Director was doing
Like I said,
voiceovers
I've gone green on a lot of this stuff.
But this was like months ago. Like it was just like a really short interview, but they were doing the voiceovers with James Earl Jones in New York, and they had a scene like he said something like the power of the dark side, something like that, and they were all like having geekasms in the
I'm
studio.
sure.
Yeah. Oh
And
my
they were
gosh.
just like,
I know they were.
like, oh my God, like he's doing it, and James is like, was that good? He's like, oh yeah, can you do it one more time, please?
And Trump was like, oh yeah, no, James, that was fine. Could we get a few more takes out of you, please?
Yeah.
I
did.
We really need you to say, "I am your father." You know, exactly like you did in episode.
But why? Luke's not in this movie. Just
Don't
just
worry
say
about it. Yeah.
Well, a bunch of actors were like losing it, like on set, because they couldn't actually like finish their scenes with Vader. I think Ben Mendelsohn was one of them. Like,
Oh, I'm sure.
he was trying to finish his scenes with Darth Vader, and he had to take a moment and talk to the director and say, like, hey, what's going on? It's like, you do realize we're doing a scene with Darth Vader, right?
He's
And
like,
the
yeah,
director-
he's like, yeah, I know, I cut you that check. Do your job.
Bro, it's hard to stop being a geek for a second and
Of course,
actually
of course.
record scene.
That's a lot of what happened during episode 7 too. Like with all the original like the new actors and everything like that. Like, can you believe we're actually in the Millennium Falcon? It's like this is the first time that a movie's been being made. Well, not necessarily the first time. I'm sure the prequels had some fans that were on board, but it seems like the first time that we're getting movies made for the fans by the fans. You know, it's by people who grew up with Star Wars and loved it and loved everything about it, and that's just what's really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, speaking of some other casting, I think Genevieve O'Reilly is coming back as Mon Mothma. She played Mon Mothma in some of the deleted scenes that were supposed to be in Revenge of the Sith. I don't know. I think they got cut from the final thing, but it's kind of cool that she's coming back and playing that part as the Mon Mothma we know from Return of the Jedi. It was kind of a minor character, but supposedly in the Rebel Alliance, she's a big deal. So we'll probably see some.
I forgot what she looks like.
She was like.
Wasn't it Julie Andrews that played her in the prequel? I could be wrong. I could be very wrong about that.
I don't know if it was Julie Andrews. They would have said something about that.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, she was like the lady who's in charge of
Falcon. I have that. That's awesome. Sorry. I have that. Oh, that's so cool. I love that thing.
That's awesome for an audio podcast, by the way. This is
it is. I was just gonna say.
It's a Millennium Falcon Bluetooth speaker. You can look it up on Amazon, guys. Whoever's listening to the pod, and the BB-8 Sphero. That's awesome. We're ready. We are ready for this, man. This is awesome.
If anyone is not believing Antonio's fandom, just talk to the guy. I mean, he's the real deal for sure.
Nice.
Do you have 2 BB-8s in there? That's amazing.
The remote control one and the Sphero one.
What more needs to be said? That's awesome.
See, with me playing soccer all my life, I'm afraid I would kick BB-8 just out of just out of instincts. Yeah, out of
the OG, the RTG
slide tackle and all that stuff.
Dude, Antonio's pumped, man. I think he's the most excited out of all of us, and that's saying something. Like, seriously.
He is ready. We're all ready, and you know, actually, the 4 of us are going to see it together with a few other friends. I don't know.
Antonio, you're coming too?
Yeah, Antonio's going to be there.
You're going to be there, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Sweet. Awesome.
Antonio and his lovely girlfriend Annette are going to be there as well, and we got a few other people joining us. It'll be great. So I think we're just going to cut it off right here as far as the preview section.
I just have to ask a couple of things. I was going to say over or under that everybody makes it out alive. Oh, not. I'm sorry. I mean, everybody doesn't make it out alive. I guess you could say.
Nobody's making it out alive.
There are definitely going to be people killed. I mean, that's 100% sure that's going to happen.
I only asked that because I feel like none of these characters are mentioned in episode 4 or any of the other ones.
That we can tell.
That might be the case where
they're like the Boston spies that were killed in the Return of the Jedi. It's like, it's very tragic, but hey, we got what we needed.
That's their one mention.
That's
we
what
get to be one line of dialogue.
Yep.
Maybe, yeah.
That's
No,
why-
I would be very surprised if any one of these main characters end up surviving.
But this is Disney. This is Disney. They're making a Disney movie. So how do they work around that? You're all of a sudden invested in these characters. I'm talking about like as kids now. You're invested in these characters, and how do you work around that? None of them, not even one, especially the one that you're mostly invested in, doesn't make it out.
I
Don't know.
I don't know, but
Well, that's a special type of Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that's what the question. That's why I question over under. Like, do you think at least one makes it out alive?
I mean, anything's possible.
I want to make a bold prediction and say
Yeah.
that
I'm asking your speculation, your prediction.
maybe one person makes it out alive, but they turn to the other side.
And who would that be?
I don't want to say.
You don't want to say because you know, or
I don't know for sure, but I've heard things, and I don't want to say for sure.
Okay,
Okay,
well
so you
Don't
wanna
say
spoil anything.
anything.
let's keep a lid on that
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, I think that's definitely a good point, John. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, it's very possible that this might have a tragic ending, but I mean, I think.
Oh,
you
it's
know
gonna have a tragic ending. I mean, it's just written that way.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, my point is that knowing Lucasfilm, knowing Disney, I'm sure whatever happens, they will handle it gracefully and not have it be completely depressing.
Yeah,
And-
it can't be depressing for sure.
I mean, it'll
Hopefully
be dark, kind of like how Empire Strikes Back was. But
Yeah.
the thing about Empire Strikes Back is that it ended on with a glimmer of hope, and I think that's obviously what this is going to be. No pun intended, leading into A New Hope.
Quite literally leading into, yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But
What I think is that for at least the tone that the film is giving me is that at least in A New Hope, the Death Star was cool and everything, the concept, but watching the film, I never felt this like grave fear of the Death Star. It was just like it felt like a gimmick. It's like, oh, it's just a big planet that destroys other planets. But with Rogue One, they really make it feel like this is the ultimate weapon. Like this is terrifying, and it really like the stakes are so high, and I feel that the film is going to capture that, and all these people are like really working together and sacrificing their lives just to really bring hope to the galaxy. And I don't know, I feel like this is going to capture the real terror that the Empire and the Death Star really represent.
can I add a one final prediction in there?
Yeah.
I think we might actually see Alderaan get destroyed.
What?
But we see that in A New Hope.
We
Yeah,
do, but it might be from the perspective of people on it, or people.
Oh, that would be horrible, but in the best way possible.
We might get to learn more about what that means and what kind of impact that actually has.
We might see
So there might be a little bit of overlap there in the timeline. We don't know, but
I mean, in episode 7, we got that. Like we got that from
you didn't
the
really
perspective of the
feel
planet.
it.
Like
but
I mean, like they
we
showed
didn't know
the
anything
people
about
on there.
Yeah, but we didn't
You get
know
what I'm
anything
saying?
about those planets. We saw a glimpse of that. But with Alderaan, we've been there in Revenge of the Sith. We know Bail Organa. We might get maybe a few of those characters might be on Alderaan while when it blows. We don't know.
That would be interesting. Kind of like a
Okay,
Halo
I gotcha.
Fallen Reach type thing almost. I don't know
So,
if you played it.
And
or not,
again,
but yeah.
I don't know if they'll go that far in the timeline. There might be some overlap there. We'll see. But yeah, no, I think we're going to cut it off right here. Definitely, we're going
Oh, but what about? I'm just
God
kidding.
damn it. I hate you all.
Right.
Watch your language, man.
Gotta
Watch
get
your
some
language.
sleep so we can see the movie tomorrow, man. Come on.
Hey guys, I know who's the real Rogue One.
Who?
Who?
Oh, the mouse. He's showing us a picture of Mickey dressed as an X-Wing.
Dumbass.
He's the real
Mickey.
Dark Lord of the Sith.
Bro.
Yeah,
Save
exactly.
the rebellion. Save the dream.
Snoke confirmed.
Come on, Mickey would never turn to the dark side. All right. Anyways, we're gonna.
I'm kind of wondering. I am actually wondering. Do you think the Death Star requires a kyber crystal, like a giant kyber crystal, to power it.
And that's why they go to the Jedi.
To the Jedi. Yeah. And if you don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, if you know what I'm talking about, the lightsabers are made out of kyber crystal.
Yeah. So that beam that comes out is basically just a giant lightsaber.
Right. And I'm just wondering. I mean, this is all speculation. I'm just wondering.
Do you know something that we don't, John?
I wish.
All right.
You know me. I try to stay away from this stuff.
It's a mineral. The Empire must be like mining these huge crystals to put him into the Death Star as the main weapon.
That's exactly why I just thought of it, because of like it's a giant beam and they're on like a Jedi, worshipping planet, and I'm wondering if there's like giant kyber crystals on this thing that use.
Let's not forget it did take like about 20 years for this thing to get built, because we saw at the end of Revenge of the Sith they started on it. So,
that's true.
Probably labor union contracts. Anyway, watch it be something really boring like that.
Dang federal government.
Anyways, that's it. All right, we're gonna go see this thing tomorrow. The four of us, we're gonna go, and we're gonna come back with part 2, the spoiler-filled review. Don't you go anywhere. And we're back. All right, so it's honestly taken us a lot longer to finish this than we set out to do. I think it was like early in December when we recorded the preview thing. It is as we record this, it is now January 4th, 2017. So we've taken a little bit longer, but as you'd expect, it's the holiday season, and this is a December movie, so we were all busy, but we wanted to come back and obviously finish this and give you our reaction and review and talk about it for a little bit. Before we go and talk about it some more, obviously the biggest news that has just kind of rocked everybody's world, and we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the passing of Carrie Fisher. Obviously, that's which was really unfortunate. 60 years old in this day and age is too young to go. But it's and just the fact that her mother, Debbie Reynolds, passed away the day after, like literally the day after, is just, it's heartbreaking.
That was so crazy. Yeah,
and Debbie Reynolds,
really
obviously, who's Hollywood royalty in her own right, has obviously had an incredible career. So it's just it's just a big loss, and our condolences go out to their family, especially her. Carrie's daughter, Billie Lourd, who, I couldn't imagine losing both my mom and my grandmother in one day. Like, it's terrible. So, as you'd expect, that's, one of the bigger pieces of Star Wars news since the movie's come out and everything. But despite that, we all went and saw the movie together. Yep. And from what I could tell, we all enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, it seemed like unanimously all around, we were all pretty jazzed about it.
Yep. The thing about this movie was it was definitely a movie Star Wars fans would really enjoy. Like that's what, like, people who love Star Wars and who know a lot about it. That's what it seems like what this movie was really made for.
Definitely, and as we touched on in the in the preview portion. It wasn't, where like Episode 7 is the generation after and the prequels were the generation before. This goes right back to where it all started. And I think it was a smart move to start for these anthology films, to kind of start and just have that little love letter to the original film. And, watching A New Hope after seeing this, it goes together perfectly, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really a seamless transition.
It really is. It's like a puzzle piece, and it just like made me want to go watch A New Hope right after I saw that, and it was great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like to call. Man, what is that in the background?
Are you moving right now, dude?
Yeah, I'm just getting a shopping cart.
Excellent. Where are you?
Late night shopping.
He's at Walmart, man.
Are you at the Walmart in Winter Garden right now?
Are you guys watching me?
No, but it's like the only thing that would be late open this late.
No, for those of you listening, we are Skyping each other right now. So if we and I actually have both John and Seamus on video. I don't have Antonio on video right now. You guys listening at home can't see this, but we're just, if we get a little bit distracted by what each other is doing, that's why. And I'll try my best to explain this as it goes, and hopefully it's not too bad to listen to. But yeah, we were all Skyping at each other from different locations.
There he is.
There he is. He's at Walmart. I see something that's $34.99 in the background there.
And I see an Ozark Trail mug, so yeah, he's definitely at Walmart.
Hey, bro, could you pick me up a gallon of milk while you're out there?
I can
Make
make
sure
that
it's
happen.
blue. Make sure it's blue.
Hey, pick up that K2SO of action figure while you're at it, will you?
Oh man, yeah, exactly.
Wait a minute, you haven't already? That's amazing.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyways, what I was saying was I actually would like to call Rogue One as episode 3.9
Yeah.
because it is like literally it starts right at 3.9 and ends right at 4. Like it's
remember,
crazy.
You know, I remember in the preview we were talking about like the title crawl, and there were a lot of people who were kind of upset that they didn't have the title crawl. Did that bother you guys at all, or?
It was a
say
bit
this.
shocking at first.
I'm glad I knew they weren't going to have it.
I
If I didn't know that they weren't going to have it, it would have been really jarring for me.
it was very jarring for me. In fact, I've seen it definitely 2-3 times, and it's still jarring to me. It's still very weird and very odd. And then even everything in marketing was Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
But they just have it as Rogue One in the movie. So everything was really weird when it comes to that. It's very jarring for me.
No, I just think it like you see that a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and you like your muscle memory is so ready for that.
You're bracing for it.
Yeah, you're bracing for it, and it's so weird and distracting. And I think it just other than the stuff like the structure of the first sequence, like the first couple of minutes of the film, I think it's really takes some time to like get used to it, and I don't know, it can really like affect your first viewing of the film if you don't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
I
definitely.
think I personally didn't really have too many expectations as far as that goes because it was a standalone thing. It was meant to be that.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what they were going to be, but it seems like they might do this from now on with the standalone. They sort of had almost what you'd call in like a TV show a cold open, where it's like you'd have that, and then you'd have a scene, and that would open into whatever it is, and then go into the title credits or whatever it is. Which they did have like the Rogue One crawl kind of across the screen, so it's like they did have a little. Didn't they have like a mini title crawl?
Had that effect, yeah.
It had that title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, I'm not going to say that I minded it, because I really didn't. Since I knew that it happened and everything like that, I mean, yeah, you definitely notice it, because it's, a Star Wars movie, and, that's kind of one of those things you look for in a Star Wars movie. And one thing that I noticed on a second watching is, I mean, if you're not going to have the crawl, don't have the closing credits be the same either, because that's like, I don't know, that for sake of consistency, that's one thing that did bother me. I mean, if you're not going to have the crawl, that's one thing. I'm being super nitpicky about this movie. All right, I'm absolutely being nitpicky. I just want to say right now, I loved this movie. I want to watch it again. But
I think what's going on is that they started out with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and it's kind of like, well, you're taking Star Wars, but you're not giving us Star Wars all of a sudden. That's what it is. This is just talking about the opening scene now. Okay, we're talking about, how did it affect you? And so for me, opening scene, it's very weird that it's like it's trying to show you one thing, but it's not giving you it. So because like I went to go watch episode 4 and episode 7. And for them to have that a long time ago, and then it's like, bam, Star Wars with the music. It's like, it was really satisfying. Just like Antonio said, it's probably more muscle memory than anything.
Right.
But it's so that's why it was jarring for me. It still is jarring for me.
You know what would have been like super interesting? I just think it would have been really interesting if you guys ever seen like the Clone Wars. You know how they start the show with like a kind of like a World War II like news clip that they would show like in theaters back in the day. They're like, talking about what's going on in the Clone Wars. Like maybe like a live action version of that would have been like super super interesting to see, kind of like tying everything together.
It's like the
Yeah, I don't
Republic
know,
are facing the Separatists and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're
I don't
talking
know.
about.
I just thought about it. It would have been cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ultimately, I don't think it made or broke the movie for any of you guys. I wouldn't say it went that far, would it? Or
Well, it's not a matter of make or break. It's just we're just taking, each. I know this is like a segment of the podcast that we're talking about. It's just the opening crawl, and for me, I didn't like it as much because of it seemed like it was going to be Star Wars, but then it wasn't. But then you're back into the world of Star Wars, so it's kind of like I wish they would have just went ahead and just maybe not add a crawl, but have the Star Wars or something to that effect, or maybe not have that a long time ago in a galaxy far away. Just completely do its own different thing rather than half of this and half of that.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. Well, I mean, fair enough. I was just curious to just see how that was. I mean, I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but it was fine. But yeah, no. Ultimately, I thought this was interesting because it was the first really Star Wars movie that had flashbacks in it. You know what I mean? You had it start off on one period of time and then skip ahead, and then occasionally flash back to it. Most of the main episodes have been a little bit more linear in terms of that. So I thought that was kind of an interesting. It was kind of a little thing I noticed, but I didn't know if that was lost on anyone else.
It had flashbacks, he said?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It wasn't super linear. They actually had. I mean, first of all, it would have flashbacks to when
She was younger?
when she was younger and stuff. Yeah, that's I didn't mind that. Again, it's one of those. It's a Star Wars story, so it's not official. I mean, it is official, but it's
Was there a lot of flashbacks?
Well,
I mean, just a handful.
Because I know in Episode 7 you have Rey with her Force vision having a flashback, so it's not the first time that they had a flashback.
Still part of the continuity, though. I mean, I honestly, that's not even anything I really minded or anything like that. That was honestly, I like how different this is from the other Star Wars movies.
Yeah, I mean, a lot. There's been a lot of talk about whether you like this better than Episode 7 or better than any of the other ones, or how it ranks to you. I mean, for me, I don't even look at it that way because it's essentially almost a different genre within a Star Wars movie, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to see a lot of that going forward, where they're going to get these different directors in there. Say what?
I like to rank my movies if it's all in the same world. If it's all in the same world, it's fair to compare them.
No, I understand that. And when you get your own podcast, you could do. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, John. Relax.
So apparently, Jack and I have talked about this, and I like to have rankings of movies, and apparently it really does not bode well for Jack.
Here's the thing, though.
I just don't like being put on the spot on my own show, but it's all good.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like that's the first time I've asked you about rankings of movies.
I'm megalomaniacal like that. It's
he's the dictator and we are the subject, so we need to
that's why I think I'd make a great emperor, but that's beside the point.
Because just like Marvel movies, you can compare all Marvel movies with Marvel movies. That's pretty fair to say.
Absolutely.
I mean, right? And Star Wars is Star Wars. You should be able to compare Star Wars with Star Wars. Now, if you're saying Star Wars with Star Trek, then it'd be a little different.
No, that's fine, and if you want to do that, you can. I'm just saying that, for me, I don't necessarily think of it in that way just because, again, this is going to be its own kind of thing. It's in the universe, but it's going to be a different kind of movie. You're going to see different kind of directors. They're not necessarily all going to follow a formula, and I think that kind of makes it exciting.
So would you say that you can't, let's say you like Fast and Furious movies, right? So you're saying all the Fast and Furious movies, you can't compare them because they're their own separate things. They have different directors, and that's the equivalent to what you're saying.
No, I mean, but first of all, we're comparing Fast and Furious movies to Star Wars movie, which is really no comparison. That's apples and oranges.
No, but I'm not talking about Fast and Furious compared to Star Wars. I'm talking about Fast and Furious movies to other Fast and Furious.
Although I think the way they're going, we might have cars in space. I'm just saying, that might be their next step.
I'm crossing my fingers on this one, dude.
I mean,
you
please.
don't-
I
Yes.
really want to see that happen with Star Wars. But getting back to Rogue One, let's what did you guys think of the Death Troopers? Like that.
I liked them.
That was a really cool thing, and I liked how they went to particular locations where it didn't seem like it was green screened or otherworldly looking. It looked like they were actual locations. It had that texture to it.
I really enjoyed them. I think they were cool. It's just one of those things where it's like, it's kind of a double-edged sword because you start saying, well, where'd they go for the other episodes? I mean, this is immediately following is episode 4, right? So it's kind of weird. It's like I really like the Death Troopers. You just kind of wonder what happened to your Death Troopers afterwards, you know?
Yeah,
That's true. That's true. We didn't get to see them in the original trilogy. So
I mean, don't get me wrong. As far as the Death Troopers themselves, I think that's kind of cool that they actually made troopers that can actually aim and hit their target. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Their aim was excellent.
Yeah, that's
really
what they were there for.
If nothing else, they had the best marksman in the Empire.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but speaking of that, I actually watched episode 4 the other day. Because I watched Rogue One and stuff. And at that part where Obi-Wan Kenobi says these blast shots are too accurate too accurate for sand people. They have to be stormtroopers. I was like, really?
I think he meant Death Troopers. I think that's what he meant.
Yeah, really? I mean, maybe for the maybe, and this is, hindsight, me giving him the benefit of the doubt.
To be fair, he's been in the desert a long time.
Yeah, and they were clone troopers before he showed up, so maybe the clone troopers had better aim. I don't know.
His memory's a little fuzzy. He didn't remember owning a droid, R2.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm gonna get back on Stormtrooper's comment when we get into like some of the characters. But as far as Death Troopers, it's pretty cool that they finally made some troopers that are pretty badass and they can actually aim and fire and hit their target. So it's pretty cool that way.
John, language.
I actually read something online that said that the Death Troopers were actually kind of dead. They're kind of like zombies. I don't know if you've seen anything like that. Yeah.
No.
Like someone said online that the
read
Death
this?
Troopers were actually like...
See, I would like that if that were the case, because this is the Empire. There's got to be a reason why this movie...
This isn't World War Z. Come on, guys.
We're getting into
not
stormtroopers.
zombies.
That would be amazing.
Not zombies, but maybe people that were lobotomized or something like that.
Yeah, maybe like Frankenstein type stuff going on.
Yo.
And if you listen closely, when they give each other
out.
commands or communicate, they're not speaking like English or anything. They're making weird code like those that droid on Hoth. It's some weird Imperial code that they're talking.
Maybe stuff left over from the Clone Wars, different genetically engineered kind of stuff. That's why they're all big and jacked and probably roided out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that opening scene was really heartbreaking, seeing her mom get shot and everything, and it immediately skips 15 years later.
I was gonna say just on that beginning scene, this Rogue One was kind of more. It definitely was. They set the tone right away in that beginning scene when they went ahead and shot the wife.
Yeah.
You don't usually see it. Like in Episode 7, you see the villagers at the beginning, and Kylo Ren orders them to go ahead and destroy them or whatever. But you don't see it. You hear it. But this one,
or even like Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, you didn't actually see them get killed. You just saw it kind of after the fact. This one, they just do it right away.
Well, wait, you talking about in Episode 7?
I'm talking about Episode 4.
Oh, yeah. You talking about when they got burned and all that, Yeah. Sorry. Anyways, but this one, you actually saw the wife get shot and killed. It's like, okay, that sets the tone right there for this movie.
We're in for it.
Yeah. And it kind of... Did you notice that opening scene, how far away they parked from, the house? Did you guys notice that at all?
Yeah, what?
Yeah, there's supposed to be a reason for that.
What was the reason? They were
supposedly,
two football fields lengths away or whatever it was.
Yeah,
it was so far.
supposedly, since Jin's father was a scientist, apparently he had some sort of kind of like a laser defense system around the perimeter.
That would make sense.
But it won't activate if you walk up to it.
I just figured the Death Troopers were trying to get their cardio in. I think that was
Yes.
You know,
they really have a strict regimen there in the Empire.
they had a PT test coming up, so they wanted to keep their heart rates up and everything.
I just remember the first time we saw it. I remember leaning into to Jake, and I was like, "Man, they sure did park far away. That's kind of weird." I was like, "Okay, let's hike on up, boys. I know everything. It's not really a hike, but it's just all flat land. Let's park
Like,
here,
come on,
though.
get stepping.
Let's get our cardio in."
Yeah, 'cause there's some sort of like pillars like in front of where they live. There's like beacons that are like evenly spread out, and it looks like some sort of defense system. Maybe it's like a deleted scene or something. They'll talk about like, oh, your defense system. Oh, you made me park so far away.
You made me walk. Dang it.
I will say this before we move on from another scene. That whole intro reminded me of the movie Inglourious Bastards. Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah,
yeah,
very
it
much
really.
so.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
just
can I have a glass of milk, please?
yeah,
Blue milk.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. I would like a glass of blue milk. But
I love that they put that in there, the blue milk. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was.
They like
that's
move the
one thing
the
about this
camera
movie.
towards it.
Yeah, that's one thing about this movie that was good. The homages to different things in the saga were awesome, and just like the little subtle things that they did.
Yeah, it looked like they were moisture farming.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, and again, you guys got to keep in mind I've only seen it the one time. I know you guys have each seen it a few different times already.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So there may be things that I forget. So keep that in mind.
Right.
So I mean, it immediately cuts to 15 years later, and you learn a little bit more about Bodhi Rook and even like the planet Jeddah, which I guess housed like one of the first Jedi temples. I guess that's where like the word comes from, which is like kind of interesting.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of the first or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing that's where like the word Jedi
But
comes from.
It's a moon, not a planet, though.
All right.
This is a Star Wars
right.
universe. There's not really much of a difference. I mean, shoot, Yavin 4 is habitable, so I mean.
It's true. Isn't Yavin 4 considered a moon? Didn't they say
Yes.
that?
It
Yeah.
is,
So
yes.
come on.
No, I see what you're saying, but yeah, so we learn about them, and then we meet Cassian Andor. Now that opening scene where he like just meets this guy, this informant or whatever, then shoots the guy in cold blood.
Straight up shoots him. There's no editing that out in special.
Yeah,
He
that
shot
really
first for sure.
shows.
Yeah, I mean, people
Shot him
ask
in
if
the
Han
back.
shot first. Cassian Andor definitely shot first.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's no arguing that.
No debate about that. Which which is one of those things I noticed about that character. I mean, yeah, he was brave. He was one of the good guys, but like, he wasn't really that good of a guy when you think about it.
No.
Yeah, I love how this movie really shows like the dark side of what the rebels were doing, just to actually keep being rebels and contain information and being organized in that way. They have to kind of do this really shady shit too.
Yep. Well, the thing is, rebels are fighting for freedom. They're not necessarily fighting for morality. So I mean, there is a little bit of a difference there. So I feel like that, you can have a common enemy and still have different, levels of morality.
Definitely, and I think one of the strong points of this movie is that it showed that not everybody was on the same page, and that there wasn't unity across the board. You had a lot of people, much like almost like how you see depictions of like when the Constitution for the U.S. was being written, how it was tough to get all those colonies together and to be unified and to be united about something, and that's kind of what that reminded me of, just getting all these different people with all different ideologies on, for one cause.
It was just nice because, it's unlike the original episodes where everything's black and white. You've got your dark side and your light side.
Yeah.
And it's real easy. This one, it really shows that, no, there's definitely multi-layers between, especially the Rebel Alliance. It's not just, like you said, it's not just one unified goal and everybody's got the same morality. It's just like, okay, obviously we just need to fight off this empire, and but everybody has their own goals on how to and rights on how to do it.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, there are definitely shades of gray there, so that
Yep.
that makes sense, absolutely. Yeah, so but I mean, it was cool seeing like almost the Empire from the perspective of people on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
saw like stormtroopers shaking people down and all these other things, and just
Yep.
what people thought and how there would be insurgents and all kinds of things.
Like, why would people rebel from the Empire in the first place? I mean, why would not just people who knew of the Jedi and knew what happened to them, but like just normal people? Why would they rebel in the first place? You see how oppressive the Empire actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you definitely got to meet Jin and Cassian and K2SO, which, as we suspected, was a riot. I mean, we loved that droid.
New favorite droid right there, man. I mean, BB-8 had me, but then K2SO was like, you know what? Let's do this. And he was awesome. I loved everything about K2. I mean, he's just got that witty humor.
Yeah, I mean, Alan Tudyk, he was, he did a great job with that, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, he was they made you be able to really care about K2, like especially when he died. There was a lot of weight to his death. It was like you really felt bad, like, oh, I don't get to see that guy anymore.
Absolutely.
Like at least that's how I felt.
Yeah. And it's so funny because he never did anything necessarily out of character though, like out of character as a droid. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like he was always following his new programming. I mean, even his sacrifice was just what he would do as a droid because he's programmed to realize he's expendable and programmed to protect and everything like that. And he follows his protocols. And so that's just. They just made it, but the way they built it up, they made it. I like how they made it. The audience perceived it as being self-sacrificial, but he's just a droid.
Yeah.
But it was still awesome. Like I don't
Yeah.
know, it was just really cool how they did that.
Yeah, it made you feel like he actually cared about the rebellion, like actually gave a.
Whoa.
Keeping it PG. All right. No, but they went to. I think they all went to Jeddah because the Empire was mining kyber crystals there, which we had briefly discussed. It didn't come out in the. I mean, people listening right now probably won't hear it, but we discussed it like off the air, or off the record about how kyber crystals might factor into the Death Star and how those were the same things that built lightsabers and how that super laser. For the Death Star was essentially like one big lightsaber, which I never
so awesome.
I had never really put two and two together before, but it made absolute sense.
Yeah.
John, was that something you predicted, or I forget who brought it up originally?
Yeah, I had mentioned about kyber crystals, and that it seems like that's what they were going for. They were mining it, and that seems like that's what it was going to power up that Death Star. Because that's what powers up the lightsaber. So I brought it up, thinking it seems like that's what they're gonna do. I didn't say like, 100% this is what they're doing, but as far as speculation, that's what I think that's what I brought up. Yeah.
Well, good call, because they definitely went to that. They definitely went to that well as far as using that and explaining what it was.
And I like that they made it where it's like let's make it a campaign to get as much kyber as we can get for this. It's not like, we found one giant kyber crystal at the core of this moon. Like, no, they had to mine and work for it and put it all together, type of thing. I like that.
Yeah, there were signs that the kyber crystals were like kind of like the key for the Death Star since the trailer. I know you guys weren't watching the trailers. I think most of you.
Yeah, I tried not to.
Yeah.
There were like those clips of Jin with her. There was like close-ups of Jin's necklace, like the crystal, and then like you put two and two together, like Jin's father working on the Death Star. Oh, she has a crystal necklace. Like, ooh, what might that be? Like,
It's almost like they're
has to
kind
be
of mining
something.
these different places for their natural resources as well.
Yeah.
And all that goes along with that. So it's a really, really interesting theme they went with. From them, they met Chirrut Imwe and Baze Malbus, who were just really cool, as we suspected they would be. And the two of them had a really cool like chemistry where it's like, you know, Baze would go along with whatever Chirrut would say, and he'd be like almost reluctantly, but you knew he loved this guy and would always have his back.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, the thing is, like, they didn't go a lot into the backstory of the characters, which I almost think was a good thing.
Yeah, no,
It's
they
just
had
like-
to do it that way.
Yeah, they really did. They really, I mean, because there was still so much in this movie that they still had to go through. I mean, we're going from planet to planet. We're going through all these things. So the fact that they were able to not tell you a lot about these characters, but you still enjoyed them and you still watched them and you still were sat at the ending of the movie, shows how excellently written these characters were. Not just on backstory, but just how well acted and how well written they were, and I really enjoyed that part of it.
I think that's one of the best parts of the film is like how they wrote these characters, and they were able to summarize all their dialogue and all their scenes, and really give you like just snippets of what their history was.
Yeah.
And it's just enough to make you really. They make it really open, so you wonder, and you make up your own stories for these characters.
It's true.
And by the end, you really have no idea where these guys come from, but you kind of fill in the gaps with your Star Wars knowledge, and I don't know. I guess it's kind of fun. It's like playing with toys again. You have this character you don't really know, but you make up his story, and the director, like Gareth Edwards, he always said this is like playing with Star Wars toys all over again.
It really
I
is.
just thought about it.
Especially at that point in the
Part of
timeline.
Yeah.
So from there, I think they ended up finding Saw Gerrera. I thought it was cool how they had like Saw Gerrera essentially raised Jyn from when her parents died, but then at some point abandoned her, which was a little messed up in a way, but at the same time you realize he probably did that to protect her, even though she didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah, that's like super hardcore. Like when you really think about it, like. And it really does, like, a lot of people complain, I don't like Jyn because her character transitioned from hating the rebellion to loving the rebellion and doing everything. But it really makes sense because, if your dad just abandons you and all these years, you're making all this story, like, why did he leave me? Like, he's so mean, he's so bad, he left me all alone. And when you finally get this message that your dad actually loves you and he gave everything for you, it's like hardcore. That's intense.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a really emotional beat that they did once they showed the message, and it also kind of explained that Galen Erso was the one who built that weakness in the Death Star, which
that was cool.
Which you guys had definitely predicted, and which I thought was really cool. It definitely it kind of shuts down that plot hole once and for all.
Yep, definitely. I mean, people have made
where it comes from.
I kind of feel like it wasn't really. Again, even in the original podcast, I felt like it wasn't really a prediction that Galen Erso was going to be the one who goes rogue and makes a weakness.
Not necessarily,
I don't know.
but I feel like I feel like somebody did say that it was going to be on purpose. That the hole in the Death Star was going to be an intentional thing. They were going to try to cover up that.
I love the fact that we called him the Rogue One, the one rogue to rule them all.
The one rogue.
Yeah.
Star Wars and Lord of the Rings crossover. Let's do it.
Whoa, dude.
Man, are you checking out Antonio?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's up?
We've got our own Star Wars.
What are the latest sales over at Walmart over there?
Oh, I'm looking at virtual reality headsets.
Nice.
For what? PC or PS4 or what?
Get some of those rollback deals.
It's for your phone. You just stick your phone in there.
Oh yeah, the little cardboard thing. Yeah, those things are.
Yeah.
That's all fascinating.
Going back
Anyway,
on
great segue.
going back on Donnie Yen's character. What is it? Chirrut
Imwe.
Chirrut. Well, I really thought it was cool, his fight scene, especially when you know that, like, okay, he probably came up with this himself. Like, I'm thinking he came up with the choreography, and, Gareth Edwards is like, I'm just going to film it.
Yeah.
You come up with it, And I thought that was cool.
I want to
At the
see
same-
him with a lightsaber at some point. I know we can't, but I just feel like that would be so awesome to see him. Whether or not he's actually I mean, I know he's force sensitive, but whether or not he actually has the force doesn't matter. That was an amazing scene.
Well, he shows two scenes that he's force sensitive, and
Yeah.
and is that the first one is when he fights the stormtroopers. He like listens in, and then it seems like he senses right when
It's
they're
like
gonna
Daredevil.
strike. Kind of
Yeah.
like Daredevil. So that's first scene, and then the second scene is when he asks if Cassian has a face of a killer, because he says the Force moves darkly on somebody that's about to kill. So
Yep.
those are two scenes that shows that he is Force sensitive, but not necessarily has use of the Force at will.
Right, like he doesn't have
Yeah.
like Jedi or Sith training or anything like that.
He probably couldn't even go in his Jedi training. He can just sense that it's there, but he can't command it, you know.
Right,
So-
right. But I mean, there's definitely some sensitivity there as far as that
Right.
goes.
And as far as that fight scene, it's pretty cool, but at the same time, it's like the stormtroopers are already the butt of jokes for so many things, and now they're already like they're wearing armor to like withstand blasters, and now they're getting taken down by a stick, you know. And that scene, I've watched it a few times, like that's cool, but it's just a stick, and they're
Like,
wearing
what
their
is their armor?
Like, what is that? Why
It's
are they
PVC.
even wearing it?
It's like
Straight up,
cheaply
it
made.
is.
It's like, is it plexiglass? Like, what's going on there? It's just not.
Like they've
So-
been taken down by teddy bears and a blind dude with a
Yes.
stick. Like
Exactly.
you might as well go in with a blaster and just sweatpants on.
Well,
Like,
I think Palpatine is very cheap when it comes to that. He blew all his money on the Death Star, 2 of them, and yeah.
So it's almost like, okay, let's have these Death Troopers, just because, man, we're gonna make these Stormtroopers really bad. Like, they're already bad enough, but they're gonna be even worse, because they're gonna get beat up by a stick in this scene. So let's make sure we got these Death Troopers on hand, you know?
Are we like about to pitch a new standalone movie now, just about like the balance sheet of the of the Empire? Just it's all accountants just going over the expenditures. Like, okay, yeah, we've spent a little bit too much here. We need to move this around, and
you have gone over budget for the last time.
someone gets force choked.
Here is your aluminum foil for armor. That's about the best thing we've got right now.
Plastic. Good luck.
I
with
have
that.
altered
Don't
the
fight
expenditures.
crimes.
Pray I do not alter them further.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so proceed on.
Yes.
That was a-
Yes. So what did you guys think of? I mean, one of the things that everyone's talking about is the CG they used for Peter Cushing for Grand Moff Tarkin. That was pretty impressive, I thought.
It was at times. I mean, at times it was a little jarring for me. I mean, it was good. Like I do remember one specific scene where I did forget that he was,
Not
or
here.
that was CG, that he was
Yeah.
CG, and
Yeah.
but it's not, the method is not perfect yet, but it's come a long way. I think it really has. It's come an
Right.
amazingly long way from like Polar Express and like Tron, the new Tron movie,
Yeah.
and things like that. I mean, they did that with Jeff Bridges in the new Tron
But
movie.
this one is so much better than Tron. Like, I'm
Oh,
talking
definitely.
about the CG work on the face.
Yeah,
you
I know. I know what we're.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not perfect yet. I think years from now, I mean, I think it's probably the best we have right now at this point in time. But I mean, I'm sure years from now it's only going to get better, and they're going to work on that a little bit more. But we saw that. I thought the voice was like spot on perfect.
Oh yeah.
I think-
yeah.
I think it was actually really done really well for me. I mean, obviously, just because I know Peter Cushing isn't with us anymore, so you're kind of like, okay, obviously they had to do something here. But I think they did an excellent job. They got an actor that I guess looks just like him and already talks just like him, and they just had to add in the CG work on his face. And I actually talked to my coworker today, and he had no clue who Peter Cushing was. So he literally didn't know that was CG. He had
yeah,
no
that's
clue.
the thing. I feel like because we're so familiar with how he is and everything, if we didn't know who Peter Cushing was, we probably thought something was a little off, but I don't think we would have assumed that he was CG.
Yeah,
But maybe
that's what I'm saying. Like, for us, we know. We're in the know. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like...
I was
we can
surprised
pick
at
out
how
these kind of
big a
things.
role he played. But it
Yeah.
was cool to have that continuity in there.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense, though. I mean, because he was he was very prominent, especially on the Death Star and everything like that. And he kind of... I like how you can see the politics of the Empire a little bit, or the Imperial military and stuff. And I don't know if we've mentioned Krennic or not, but the guy, whoever played Krennic did an amazing job. Like,
Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah, Ben
He's-
Mendelsohn.
He stole the show for me, actually.
Yep.
I think his performance was the best performance out of anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I from all of his lines from the very beginning, just like they're menacing, but the arrogance, they're convincing, you know. I
Yep.
love that when Governor Tarkin, thank you, was talked about, like, he pressured him into giving a little test run, and then he did well, and he's like, "Oh, I'm taking over." And Krennic is like, he looks at him and he like stands his ground, you know, and he's like, "We stand amidst my achievements," you know, and it's like the way he delivers all that. I'm like, wow, I don't like bad guys, but I like how he does everything.
He's really flawed. He's not perfect. He reminds me of a lot like Kylo Ren. I mean, he's a bad guy, but he's also a person, and he's got flaws, and he's got his hang-ups and everything like that. And you can tell, like, he's kind of in a power struggle. He's kind of got an inferiority complex with because of Cushing and because of Tarkin,
Vader, and
Tarkin, and he's like trying to kiss up to Vader and everything.
Yeah,
and it's almost like the Empire is like a corporate office, pretty much, and like this guy is like the guy that's trying to kiss up to the boss and stuff.
Yeah, it's going through middle management and all that stuff. So.
Exactly. I mean, and honestly, I enjoyed him. I really did. I did how
too.
Flawed of a person he was. It really was fun to watch.
Well, it's good. I mean, they didn't make him that likable, which he's not supposed to be likable. So, and I thought the scene where he visited Vader on which looked like it was on Mustafar.
Yeah, it's Mustafar.
I think it was Mustafar, and I think that's just, if you notice, that was the only planet that they didn't show the name of the planet.
Title sequence.
And I think that's just because, you know, they were trying to hang on to every second of revealing Vader. You know,
right.
They're just trying to hold on to every single second until you finally just saw him on screen without trying to give anything away.
It was so great, too. And Antonio, didn't you mention that the castle definitely looked like it was inspired from Ralph McQuarrie's concept art?
Yeah, it was actually a concept art that they didn't use for Empire Strikes Back. They were supposed to, like, the first script for Empire had, like, Vader's castle in it, and then they rewrote part of it. And, well, obviously this was, like, in one of the big stuff in the Lucasfilm archives, so they just dug that up and used it for sure because they needed the scene.
Mm-hmm.
It was incredible.
I like that they showed Vader having to be in like one of those healing tubs. It's like
back to tank.
It's like he just goes to show that, you know, Vader is just a fraction of what he used to be. You know, he's just a torso. Healed.
Right.
Yep.
You know, I like that they showed that.
This movie explains so much about Vader in so little time, and it really gives the character so much depth.
I do have to say after watching it a few times, they need to delete one scene in that Vader scene, and it's when he goes around and chokes him, which is fine, but then when he makes that pun, you
didn't like the pun.
I liked the pun,
dude.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me when he choked that guy out on I think it was either Empire or Jedi.
Apology accepted.
That's exact. That was in the same vein as that one right there.
No, but he didn't make a pun. He's not making a pun. You know, I don't know. This one, it just took me out. I was like, that's not what Vader...
His wordplay is on point, though. Like, you know, whenever he chokes somebody, he's always got something funny to say. He's like, when he chokes the one guy, he's like, I find your lack of faith disturbing. And, like, stuff like this. I feel like I feel like that was in character. I giggled. I giggled at the pun.
What
Yeah,
would
see,
have
I-
made it really bad if he had like sunglasses on over it and removed them like David Caruso, and then all of a sudden you heard
Thug Life.
"Won't Get Fooled Again." Yeah. Damn.
Well, everybody's different. For me, I feel like they need to completely take out that scene, or just have him mute. I just can't. Like next time I watch it on DVD, I can mute it myself or something.
All right.
It's
No,
And he just like
when
looks,
he says
he
that,
just like looks intently at him and just
it's like I'd rather have that than him saying "Don't choke on your aspirations." And I'm like, oh,
Have a nice
okay,
trip.
Vader.
I'll see you next fall.
'Cause, like,
Just have him do like
let's
one
listen.
bad pun after another. That would be
I mean, he
hilarious.
might as
Dude,
he
I
might
want
as
a
well
super
have
cut
been.
of that. I want a super cut of that. Just like hit somebody with a Vader voice and like just coming up with different puns of different parts of the movie and everything.
Oh, that's like a Robot Chicken sketch waiting to happen.
yes, exactly.
I mean, he might as well have said like, "Don't let me force you out of here."
Wah wah wah.
Wah wah wah. It's like, dude, what the heck? Like,
Half the fun
I
of
like
these
no, but
movies
when
is
he says that,
because like the other ones, when he says, "I find your lack of faith is serving" or "apology accepted," that's something like, okay, like he means business. This one is like, I'm gonna make a pun while I choke you this time around.
I like this.
So, anyways, everybody's different. I just think it just takes me out of the movie when he says it. Like,
I know
Alright.
people
no,
are gonna
but
make
you
fun
know
of
when
it.
I
What?
think just when he says it, I don't know why, but I just imagine like Hayden Christensen inside the suit just making
Oh
like
my
a joke,
gosh.
like if he was talking to like Obi-Wan, like they were always
Oh.
trying to one up each other with their puns.
Yeah, they were. See, that's the thing. I
Just
feel
call
like
him a
that's
young
the-
Padawan.
I don't like sand.
I think this is the
I don't like
1%.
sand.
It's soft and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Yes, Anakin, I heard you before. You don't like sand. We're not on sand. Get over it.
Don't make
I don't
me
know why
slice
my
like
Obi-Wan sounded more like John Lennon in that.
Don't
Yo,
make
yo.
me slice up a space pear and serve it to you.
Right? Yeah.
But even like
That was a really.
that pun,
I wanted a piece of that space pear, dude. That was amazing.
Oh my god.
I know it was CGI, but it looked really good.
I wouldn't put it down.
No,
No,
If it's from Vader, I'd put it down. I'm just saying.
that'd be a weird.
You
That
don't-
would be a weird
listen,
thing
you
for one
don't-
dude defeated to another dude that way.
Listen.
next to the back of the
don't
tank,
wanna-
there's like a bowl of space fruit, and like the space bears are there and everything like
You
that.
just listen. You don't want to do that. You don't want to choke. All right, let's get.
Right. First of all, I don't even know what we're talking about. We're talking about space pairs and back to tanks. This is just going
Yeah.
off the rails.
Yep. Love
So,
So,
so
well,
I think
know, but as far as that scene, I like that they showed it because it showed that Krennic was trying all he can to get, to gain control. It's like, oh, if my boss isn't gonna do anything, maybe I can go to the right hand man of the Emperor. And
Right.
little does he know, he's like buddies with Tarkin. So
Yeah.
it's like he got
Yeah.
put in his place.
I
So
want to see
everybody-
more
Politic.
information on like Vader's relationship with Tarkin, on why they're so like that's like the one person that besides the Emperor that Vader seemingly respects or something. Like
It seems
well,
like
you
there's
know,
like. Go ahead.
Tarkin actually finds out probably before this. He already know that Vader is Anakin Skywalker that he worked with during the Clone Wars.
yeah,
So he had a relationship with Anakin when he was Jedi. So it's like, okay, Anakin is in the Vader suit and he's the only remaining Jedi. Okay. I can
Well, it
deal
seems
with
like
this.
was Tarkin on like the Clone Wars animated series?
Yeah, he is.
Was he
Oh,
really?
okay.
Yeah, he's in a bunch of episodes.
Oh, okay.
Really?
And
What
he's-
season is
he's
that?
He's even in Rebels too.
That'd be pretty rad.
I need
Well,
okay.
if
I
you-
need to watch Clone Wars and Rebels now.
Yeah.
There's actually
Yeah.
an episode where they have to rescue, I think Grand Moff Tarkin from like kidnapping or something like that. Some crazy stuff.
Oh,
Well, that's awkward.
Yeah. Like in episode 7, you have both General Hux and Kylo, like constantly looking eye to eye, like kind of like a ranking to
Yeah.
Snoke. They're constantly like, it's almost like their brothers, like, Dad, he did this. No, Dad, he did that. Like,
Right,
it's almost
exactly.
like it seems like there's two that the Emperor
power struggle there.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyways, they get the name Rogue One, with like as like the Imperial ship. It's sort of like their fake call sign.
Yeah.
Which I guess Bodhi Rook came up with randomly. I forget. Was there more of like an explanation with that call sign, or do you guys remember?
No.
He just made it up on the spot.
You know
he
what's
pulled
cool?
He pulled the Palpatine. He just kind of pulled it out of nowhere, like Palpatine with Vader's name.
You know what's cool though? I watched all the original episodes recently, and in Empire Strikes Back when they're on Hoth, and it's I think they're scouting, but their call name is Rogue 2 in that movie. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. That it's kind of like
awesome.
Rogue One was taken, so we'll continue on with.
Well, sure, yeah. Rogue Squadron became a big thing later on in the movies.
So. I think that's pretty cool. They did that.
Yeah, it makes sense that they would be like honored that way.
Yeah,
that is awesome. I'm glad they did that. That's so cool. I knew I'd heard Rogue before, but I just couldn't remember where.
Yeah, I loved the where they ended up on Scarif, which is where the base was. I think that's where the beach was and all that. Or was it Scarif or Edu? No. Edu was another
Scarif.
place. Yeah.
Scarif.
Yes, Edu was like a rainy planet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Reminds me of
something else I forgot to mention, which was an interesting thing they did. How the Death Star laser was able to destroy a city.
Yeah.
And not an entire planet yet, and how they showed that. That was something I was...
Because they were using the single core reactor. They wasn't using the full power yet.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Awesome.
Like I wasn't necessarily expecting that, but that was pretty cool to see.
That's pretty smart of them to do that too, because in the other episodes they keep talking about it's time to show the full power of this station, and it's smart that Rogue One they were like, okay, let's see if we can do like lesser power, what that looks like.
just test that out.
That's pretty cool, and I really like that it wasn't exactly accurate.
Yeah.
It like fired. It missed by a long shot, but it did the damage.
It basically carpet bombed the thing, and it was only off by a couple miles, but it still destroyed everything it needed to destroy.
Yeah, it was like basically dropping a nuke, and having that go for miles. I feel like they probably could have saved Saw Gerrera in that scene. I felt like he was just like, nope, I'm good. You guys go ahead.
You got robot legs, but you got legs. I mean, come on, you can come along with us and stuff. He really didn't really seem like he was too excited about going with him for whatever reason.
I've had friends of mine who really didn't like Forrest Whitaker's voice as Saw Gerrera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Save the rebellion. Save the dream, or something like that,
definitely
right?
an interesting choice he did from there.
Yeah, I didn't hate it.
It almost seems like looking back. It almost seems like that's for the trailer. Would you say?
I mean, it was definitely a sound.
Let's make this. Put in the trailer. Yeah.
It was definitely an impactful moment.
There was a lot of stuff that wasn't. There was a lot of stuff that wasn't even in the film.
Are you kidding me? Like 90% of the trailers wasn't in the film.
That's true. Yeah,
there was. We have to talk about the rewrites at some point.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, and again, I don't know exactly what was in the original draft, and I know there was a lot of stuff that they filmed that didn't end up getting there. I guess maybe it must have been like darker than it turned out to be.
Well, I think there was just like there was a lot of repetitive stuff. From what I read, like take for example, in one of the trailers, it shows Jin walking out to that catwalk to go fix the the satellite thing,
Mm-hmm. And
and all of a sudden the TIE fighter pops up at the end of the catwalk, and that's in the trailer, and it doesn't ever show up in the movie. And what happened in that scene was another X-wing comes in and blasts that TIE fighter.
Oh, okay.
They took that out because they felt it was repetitive to when the AT-AT was attacking it and a TIE fighter comes in and blows that up.
True.
So I mean, I'm sorry, not a TIE fighter. An X-wing comes in and blows that up. So they felt like that was a kind of repetitive scene, and they felt like it wasn't needed. That's what I've read.
I mean, probably that was the case, but in any case, I'm still happy with the cut that we got.
Oh yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't bad at all. I enjoyed what we got and everything like that. I feel like they did a really good job. Okay, one thing I have to mention. I know we're getting kind of far along in the thing, but the scale in this movie.
Yes.
The size of everything, the size of like that
Yes.
one scene, like my jaw was like wide
They didn't
open.
chip.
Of
What-
like the
what they
Star
do,
Destroyer hovering over the city and
Yeah.
and all that.
That scene, oh yeah, where the Star Destroyer was just like sitting there, and it's just like it's so huge, and you could tell how huge it was. And the other scene where they were in space, and you see the Star Destroyer come out of shadows, and then out of nowhere,
Yeah.
the Death Star just like
Yes.
dominates
It's
the
giant.
screen, and it's
Yes.
huge, and it's bigger than it's you finally realize how big it actually is, and it was so cool.
The scale is
and,
awesome.
and that's the benefit of modern special effects, that you can do that stuff that wouldn't have been possible in 1977.
Yeah, they did a good job. I actually, like I said, I rewatched the episode 4, and they made it look pretty big. I mean, the Death Star looked big, but like the scale of it is just intensifies so much in Rogue One, and that's one thing that I like visually. This movie's shining like its crown jewel is its visuals. I feel like
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
No, 100%.
It was beautiful too. Like even in the things that were like supposed to be bad, like the basically the atomic bomb, like all of that, everything looked beautiful when even though that's a bad quote, that's a bad scene, that's not something you want to watch. But as far as in a suspension of belief entertainment value, like it looked really beautiful,
Oh yeah, spectacular.
Well, I guess the director having a special effects background kind of like really made the difference. He supervised all that stuff.
Yeah, man, Gareth did a good job. I mean, he did just like if you're gonna get somebody to make the Death Star look big, you get the guy who did the new Godzilla. I mean,
but you called it, Seamus, when you said Gareth Edwards he's known for scale. Like I remember you saying that, and and it was spot on. Like the scale was great, and then my coworker who he watches few movies, but he heard the recommendations on this one, and I asked him, I said, what'd you think? And he actually, one of the first things he said was, wow, the scale was pretty amazing. And I was like, oh wow, look at this, like this guy doesn't know who Gareth Edwards is. He doesn't. I didn't mention that to him. He literally said scale, so it was pretty spot on.
It was awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, the final sequences, on the beach and everything was just it was like Saving Private Ryan. Like it was just it was very gripping, just seeing everything they went through, and even as sad as it was seeing everybody get killed, you really got you really felt that sense of sacrifice, and that they believed in what they were doing, and they gave their lives for a bigger purpose. And that's why I know we were worried about how are they going to handle that, and how are they going to, if they do kill everybody off, which they ended up doing, how were they going to do it in a way that wasn't overwhelmingly sad or depressing? And I think they found a way.
I was going to say everything was really great in this movie. I find it very weird that there was a master switch just out in the open on the beach, I remember, they were looking for the master switch, and I was like, I don't know. It seems kind of weird that there was this.
Well, it's not necessarily designed to be a battlefield. It's just designed. I mean, their main defense was an impenetrable shield that could only be disabled by anything on the planet. So I mean, they weren't really looking at. I mean, security wasn't really too much of an issue. They weren't really too worried about that.
Yeah.
I mean, that dogfight that happened above the planet, which you got to see like archive footage of like the original Red Crew and those older actors. Some of it was CG, but others was like archival footage that they used, like outtakes and things, which was just incredible. It was really cool to see.
Cool.
This movie took over like the best like aerial battle for me. It used to be Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Because in that aerial battle, space battle is still one of the best.
Oh yeah.
And this one, I think this one just topped it just enough.
Oh, definitely.
Between the two, they're both great scenes, but this is how good that the space and aerial battle was for this.
I mean, you can't discount the
Yeah, they
battles,
did
the space battles in the prequels, though. I mean,
Oh.
listen. Okay, listen, John.
Oh yeah,
The battles, the space battles in the prequels were really cool. Like the battle for Naboo was awesome. The battle over Coruscant was amazing.
Oh, yo, the opening Revenge of the Sith, that was
Yes.
killer.
Yeah, I mean that was the first time we'd ever gotten a completely CG tracking shot. It was the longest CG
Yes.
tracking shot ever. And that music in the background, that was amazing, and that was really cool. But you're right. I feel like this scene trumped those. Like this scene just did an amazing job. It was the most fun I'd ever had watching a Star Wars battle. Besides seeing a video game.
Well, to be fair, I've always said in Revenge of the Sith, that opening scene is like one of my favorite scenes.
Okay.
Because of the planes. The only thing I don't like in that scene was the whole buzz droid sequence. I didn't really care for that one, but I liked everything else, the tracking, going around the destroyers.
It's a heck of a way to start out the movie, for sure.
And the missiles coming in, he made them kind of crash into each other. Like all that was cool. So
that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But this one was I love the X-wings and
and
you had so many of the X-wings in this one.
But you guys called it in the sense where it was like, okay, the plans were transmitted aboard there. They weren't necessarily taken from. They were taken, but they were also transmitted aboard Leia's ship and all that. And to see and even that end sequence where they decided to blow up, where the Empire decided to blow up Scarif, where that scene on the beach where it was Jin and Cassian there, like holding hands, kind of like as the shockwave was coming for him. That was just, it was both sad but just really beautiful,
really gorgeous. Like the visuals and the action in this movie, everything about it visually was brilliant. Like I
sense that attraction between the two of them. Be like, look, our destiny doesn't really allow for a happy ending, but at least we're here together, and who knows what might have been. But that was it was.
Well, I'm just kind of glad that this is speaking as an adult, not as a kid, but I'm glad that Disney actually had the guts to do it and be like, these characters are never mentioned. We need to make their sacrifice, like we need to have them as a sacrifice, and it's all worth it for a bigger goal. And I'm glad they went for it,
And you did genuinely care about them towards the end.
Yep, yeah. Especially Bodhi and Chirrut. I was really sad when Bodhi died. Like a lot, like just the fact that he's this detractor, and he's done what he can for the Empire and for the rebellion and stuff. Like when that grenade comes in, I was like, oh man, I was hoping at least he'd make it out or something. Yeah, but it was still satisfying. Yeah.
And of course the K2SO thing, that was just tear jerking.
Oh, I'd never cried. I don't think I've ever cried over a robot being, except for Iron Giant. Yeah, actually, that reminds me of it. Yeah, so I've never been so sad of an artificial intelligence being destroyed, but.
Now, there was supposed to be a version of the script before Disney approved where all the characters actually survived. And then they got the green light. Yeah, they got the green light after the script was being written, and Disney said, okay, you can kill off all the characters. And Gareth Edwards was like, yeah, let's do this.
He just George R. Martin that thing.
Killing everybody.
I'm gonna make them love you and then kill all of you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Damn, he just Game of Thrones'd it.
Mm-hmm.
No, but I'm actually really curious about what, I don't know. You see Gareth Edwards in interviews, and he looks kind of like weirdly bummed out, because I think they really got into his shit. Like they really rewrote a bunch of his stuff because it just wasn't working, or Disney didn't approve it. And I'm sad for him as a director, like having his stuff just like,
You play that game when you work for
apart.
Disney, though. I mean,
for sure, yeah.
that's the game you play.
Well,
Right.
let's face it. You play that game with any franchise that's going to give you like hundreds of millions of dollars to make a movie.
Yeah, true. You're gonna have a lot of.
I'm sure he can go cry into his pile of money.
Yeah.
No, well, I mean like the studio is handing out hundreds of millions, and obviously they're going to be the ones having the final say. Like, well, I
Yeah.
don't think my money needs to be invested this way. You
Yeah.
know?
Still, though,
True.
I mean, studios have made worse decisions than Rogue One. Like, we'll say, I will say that. I mean,
I think what we got was awesome.
Mhm.
Like just because you have reshoots doesn't mean it's bad.
yeah. See, that's the thing. Everybody's getting all bummed out because of the reshoots and stuff, but reshoots sometimes just means you just want a different tone. I mean,
Well, first of all, every big time movie they all have reshoots. So
Yeah.
let's,
And you know what?
let's not get ahead of ourselves.
95% of the movie-going public is not going to care. As
No.
long as it turns out good,
That's right.
do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Yep.
How about and of course everybody popped huge for that scene with Vader just going nuts at the end.
Oh man.
Dude.
That was everything people wanted, and they got it.
They could have. That was a gift to all of us. Like they could have ended it like right where like maybe they had breathing. Like when the door it was black smoke. Like if they could have had like breathing and then ended it there, like it would have been like okay, we accepted it. But no, they gave us everything, and they showed just like his force powers and how
went
ruthless
full
he
Vader
was.
on it.
Yep. We have never
man.
seen him go full Vader, but he went full Vader, and it was awesome.
At least
It was
in the
awesome.
suit, that is.
Yeah,
of course,
exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, he
It was
like
funny.
lifted. Go ahead, Antonio.
It was funny. It was funny how I asked my father, is the film critic for 33 years. I asked him like, so what was your like favorite part? He's like, Vader, man, Vader. It was so amazing. See him like cut through those rebels like nothing. I was like,
Yeah.
really, Dad?
Yep.
He's like
Yep.
55 years old. He's like, yeah, man. I've
I
never
was
seen
the
him
same.
like that. That was so cool.
I was the same way, dude. I was cheering. I felt bad, but I was cheering. I was like, Vader!
I was gonna jump on my seat.
Yeah.
I was like,
Wait.
holy shit, they're doing it! They're doing it!
Yeah.
Yes. Oh man. Like your mouth was just. I mean, your jaw was just open, and your eyes were wide open. You're just like, what's going on? What's going on? I can't believe this is happening.
Is that a lightsaber?
That's 30 seconds of a Star Wars fan's life.
Yeah, exactly. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, for sure. It's gonna. That's a tough 30 seconds to follow. I'm interested to see how Episode 8's gonna go.
No, but
Well,
I think like that whole, like those whole, like, I've been saying it everywhere I, encounter this movie as a conversation topic, is like those last 5 minutes are one of the best, like, sequences I've seen in a film in a long time.
Yeah.
Including, non-sci-fi
Right.
fantasy films. It was
Right.
just so well paced and so well edited, and the music kicks in just at the right moment. Like, holy
Yep.
shit, how did they get this so damn perfect? It was
Yeah.
mind blowing.
Well, for this movie, I always say like, man, I really miss my like Force users for this movie. And I understand that this is more on the war movie of those who aren't Force users. But
Mhm.
since it's Star Wars, it's deep within Star Wars universe. I was definitely missing my Force users, and so like when Vader came out with that, and that's the first time we saw the spark of a lightsaber. It was when Vader comes out at the very end, but he uses the Force like that. Man, it was just so satisfying to see that. Like, yes,
It was
yes.
probably the first Star Wars movie we saw without like an actual lightsaber duel.
Yeah.
Right, it is. And I definitely notice it for me, like, just because that's what I love about the main sagas, is like, that's what Star Wars is.
We love
a
our
lot of
space
it.
wizards and laser swords, man.
That's
Yeah, we
right,
do.
like, we loved our space wizards and swords. It's what a majority of it is about, Like,
That's why a lot of people follow it. It's that you take out the lightsaber, you don't have Star Wars. I mean,
or the Force, like, if you take
Yeah.
out, like, Force using, you don't have Star Wars,
Yeah.
So I'm glad that I'm really glad they put that in there, and it's just, and it made it even. It's almost like it made it even, like the taste even better, just for that last part, you know. As far
It
as
was
an
like-
overall movie, I wish there was more force using, but this movie in itself, it was such a good last taste for sure.
It's like a really delicious cherry on an awesome sundae.
And it kind of ended the way we thought it would, you know, just on that chase. Not necessarily right at that exact moment, but like pretty close to it. And we did see Leia. We saw, CGI.
That one I could tell more that one's a little more CG
Really?
than. Oh yeah, like
I don't know, man. I thought it was awesome. I thought it.
trust me, I think it's awesome. I think it's done really well. I just think if I'm comparing, I would say Tarkin was the better CG, but don't get me wrong, I think they did a great job on Leia. You know.
Definitely. No, I would agree with that. But I mean, it definitely makes it all the more poignant. Obviously, knowing what we know now about Carrie Fisher, about how. I hope that she at least got to see that.
That homage there.
I think that she was at. I think she did make it to the premiere of that.
Yeah.
I would imagine she got to see it.
Yeah, because she died several days after the release of the movies, which means the premiere happened like a week before. So she definitely. I mean, if she was at the premiere, she got to see it and everything.
Well, I think she
I'm
passed
pretty
away.
sure
Like,
Carrie Fisher.
go ahead.
I'm pretty sure Carrie Fisher doesn't give a about Rogue One, or did.
Maybe not.
Like she's all about the anti like stalking anti super fan, like
Yeah.
she doesn't really even know the mythology, or cares about it, like most of the actors. They're just like, we're just actors. I don't really, they're just there for publicity, really.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Carrie
Hamill,
Fisher,
yeah.
Whoa.
Hamill is a fan's actor, man. Hamill
Yeah.
loves his fans. I will say that. Hamill does a good job with that stuff.
Hamill's into it. I think Harrison Ford couldn't
Well,
get
Dude,
it.
Harrison
Hamill-
Ford is so done. He's
over
been
it.
done since Return of the Jedi, man.
Well,
Like,
Hamill will even admit though. He'll tell all his fans, like, listen, you guys are gonna know more than I will. Like I'm here for you guys. I love that this is a passion for you guys, and it brings joy to me. But he says, like, you guys will know more than I do. Like,
Yeah.
So Antonio was, he's not too far off that the actors, they're there not necessarily for publicity, but
Watch some old interviews, like some old press junket interviews about about the older movies. That's fun. They just don't care, man. They get
Right.
they get names wrong. It's hilarious. But
on that ending scene, there's two things about that scene, that very last scene, and that I remember thinking to myself, like, it's kind of I'm glad they did the transmission, but I thought it was really weird that Leia was right there in the middle of battle, especially when she's that important. You would think, like, she'd be pretty far away and they can, like, send a transmission to her, But she was, like, right in the thick of it. Like, her ship could have been blown up easily, and but I think they were a little handcuffed because after watching episode 4, when they search her ship, they report back to Vader and say, like, this ship did not receive transmissions. The computer shows no data that it ever received a transmission. And so it made sense in Rogue One that big
it was
ship,
a card. It was a chip.
but the big ship received a transmission, but then they put it on a chip and they handed it to her in her own little ship.
A
So
little diversionary tactic.
yeah, so I think they were handcuffed by episode 4, and that they probably wanted to transmit it to her, like, far away in a safe zone. But I think they had to, because of that, they had to put her right in the middle of battle.
I love how the rebels are just running and screaming and just trying to get that card up to the next ship. It really felt dire. Like, wow, like, these guys are really running for it. Like, holy shit, Vader's coming after them. The shit's gonna blow up.
Mm-hmm.
And that scene earlier on Yavin 4 where Bail Organa was talking about going to Alderaan and just kind of saying goodbye, and it's like you knew Like you knew he wasn't going to last much longer after that, and he was talking about Obi-Wan, but it's just like it was kind of heartbreaking in a way watching that.
Yeah.
Just knowing that was coming.
And I'm just so glad they included him on that. And just one more tie-in. They just to kind of show that the prequels weren't the best movie, but at the same time they're still part of the family. They're still part of the canon. They're still very much a part of the history of Star Wars. They were my Star Wars. They were. I mean, that's how we know what the Jedi are. That's how we know how.
I have a question, Seamus. Did you watch the prequels before any of the originals?
Did I? No, I had seen the originals before I saw the prequels, but that was when I was really young.
That's the way I was, is that I watched the originals before the prequels. I was in 7th grade when the prequels came out.
Yeah.
So it was still targeted towards me. I was still a kid.
Overall, though, I thought it was really well done. The ending was great, and it was just a really good thing. I can't wait to see it again. It sounded like overall, unanimously across the board. Like I said, we all really just enjoyed this movie.
Yep, for sure. For sure.
Absolutely. I'm sure we'll all be seeing it again several times in the years to come.
Buying it on Blu-ray or whatever.
Of course.
Disc is available.
And that'll definitely keep us warm until later this year, which I can't believe that's going to happen in December of 2017. We're going to get episode 8.
Oh, man.
Carrie Fisher filmed all her scenes for it, so she's going to be in that.
That'll be interesting to see what they do.
How they handle that in the movie and how they handle that going forward, whether they had plans for Leia in Episode 9, I don't know. Who knows how they're going to handle that, but that's all speculation.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're just going to cut it off right there. Seamus, I know you're on Twitter at CelticKraut75.
Yep, CelticKraut75.
Gotcha. And you still have your Twitch channel that you're doing? Or?
It's on hold right now. Still kind of just trying to get everything taken, But, just follow me on Twitter or Facebook or whatever.
Gotcha. Now, I know, John, you're on Facebook as well. Antonio, is there any projects you have coming up that you want to plug?
Well, I just started my certification in social media marketing, which I'm really excited to put towards my own projects and my own channel, but also trying to get some clients, to actually have a professional job in that way, get out of Disney and all that stuff. But
sure.
I'm excited. You might see some more movie reviews and some tech stuff coming from my channel. So just look up my name, Antonio Camuñas, at YouTube. I'll be there.
Sure. Yeah, he definitely puts out a lot of content on his YouTube channel as well.
I'll probably release. I'm trying to, as soon as I have a day off, I'll record best and worst movies of 2016 and my favorites for this year as well. I'll do a couple of top picks for sure.
Absolutely, can't wait to see that. You're also on Twitter at LOtroDude, and we'll spell that out in the description.
It's the other dude in Spanish, so it might be kind of tricky.
The other dude.
El otro dude. I love it. All right, well, guys, that's great. That's going to be it for this episode of the Phoenix Report. Let us know in the comments, what did you think about it? Tweet us, #Phoenix Report. John, Seamus, Antonio, thank you guys so much for coming on and being a part of this again. You guys are awesome. For John and Seamus and Antonio, I am Jack Connor. This has been the Phoenix Report. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you again soon. Bye.
See ya.